I never imagined a simple backyard project could spiral into a neighborhood scandal, complete with criminal charges and a dethroned HOA tyrant, but life in Willow Creek had a way of surprising you. It all began 3 months ago, when I decided to build a modest patio extension and a pergola in my backyard, a cozy spot for my family to savor warm summer evenings. Nothing flashy, just a practical addition that would steer clear of the suffocating web of rules spun by our homeowners association. Willow Creek was notorious for its iron-fisted HOA, and at the helm was Diane Marshall, a woman who wielded her authority like a scepter. Diane, in her mid-50s, sported a sleek auburn bob that defied physics, never a hair out of place, no matter the weather. She roamed our cul-de-sacs like a sheriff in a western, her eyes scanning for the slightest infraction. Grass half an inch too tall? She'd measure it with a ruler. Trash bins lingering curbside past 7 a.m.? She'd snap a photo and slap you with a fine. Her violation notices were legendary, typed in crisp Arial font and delivered with the smug satisfaction of someone who thrived on control. To her, Willow Creek wasn't a community, it was her empire. I wasn't naive. Before breaking ground, I played by every rule in the HOA's bloated handbook. I submitted detailed blueprints to the Architectural Review Committee, forked over a due law 400 processing fee that felt like extortion, and even invited Diane to inspect the proposed site. I wanted her blessing, or at least her indifference, to avoid the INEVY table drama. She showed up 15 minutes early, her clipboard clutched like a shield, her lips pursed in preemptive disapproval. "So, you're extending your patio by 8 feet," she said, skipping any pleasantries. "You're aware our bylaws require a 15-foot setback from property lines, correct?" I nodded, keeping my tone even. "That's why I had a surveyor mark the boundaries yesterday. The stakes with the orange ribbon show exactly where the patio will end, 15 feet from the line, as required." I gestured to the row of wooden stakes, each one pounded into the earth by a licensed professional. Diane's eyes narrowed as she studied them, then flicked to my plans, searching for a flaw to pounce on. Finding none, she straightened. "I'll need to measure those myself. The committee will review your application next month." "Next month?" I couldn't hide my frustration. "I thought the meeting was next week." Summer was slipping away, and I'd hoped to enjoy at least part of it on my new patio. She flashed a smile that was all teeth, no warmth. "The agenda's full. Rules are rules." With that, she pivoted and strode across my lawn, her heels levying precise divots in the grass, a testament to her unyielding demeanor. 2 days later, I received conditional approval, pending a secondary inspection of the property line. It was progress, but it felt like wading through molasses. I booked contractors for the following month and started ordering materials, envisioning lazy evenings under the pergola. Everything was on track until it wasn't. One morning, as I sipped coffee and gazed at my backyard, something felt off. I stepped outside, and my stomach dropped. The survey stakes were gone. Every single one had been yanked from the ground. My first thought was kids pulling a prank, but then I caught a glimpse of Diane's silhouette behind her levying room curtains. Her house had a clear view of my yard, and instinct told me this was no coincidence. I marched to her doorstep, determined to stay calm. When she answered, she was in full HOA battle mode, navy blazer, a name tag proclaiming, "President Marshall," and that ever-present clipboard. "Good morning, Diane," I said, forcing a smile. "The survey stakes marking my property line are missing. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Her expression didn't flicker. "Those stakes were in the wrong place. They showed your property encroaching on common area land. As HOA president, it's my responsibility to protect community assets." I took a deep breath, my patience fraying. "Diane, those stakes were placed by a licensed surveyor based on county records. You can't just remove them because you disagree." She drew herself up, her voice sharpening. "I've been president for 7 years. I know every square foot of this neighborhood. Those stakes were incorrect, and I've filed an objection to your project. The board will address it next month." The pieces clicked into place. This was a power player move the stakes, stall the approval, and ensure my project died before winter. It was petty, vindictive, and, as I'd soon discover, illegal. Diane, I said, my voice low, tampering with survey stakes is against the law. They mark legal boundaries. For a split second, uncertainty flickered in her eyes, but she quickly recovered. I didn't tamper with anything. I removed stakes that were on HOA property. If you want to proceed, you'll need a new survey to correct the boundaries. That was the final straw. I thanked her coolly, went home, and called the surveyor. He was Lee VYD. That's not just a violation, he said. It's a crime. You need to report this. I hesitated. Escalating to the police felt extreme, but the math was grim. Another due law 400 for a new survey, delayed construction, inflated contractor fees, and the precedent this would set if Diane got away with it. What else might she sabotage? I dialed the non-emergency police line and laid out the situation. The officer on the phone was blunt. Tampering with survey markers is criminal mischief in this state, sir. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor because it involves property boundaries. We'll send someone out today. 2 hours later, Officer Daniels sat at my kitchen table, reviewing the surveyor's report and photos of the stake locations. As we wrapped up, a sharp knock interrupted us. I opened the door to find Diane, her composure fraying at the sight of the police cruiser in my driveway. Is everything all right? She asked, craning to see inside. I saw the police and wanted to ensure there's no issue in our community. Officer Daniels, this is Diane Marshall, our HOA president, I said, stepping aside. She's the one I mentioned regarding the survey stakes. Diane's face paled as the officer approached. Ms. Marshall, I understand you may have information about the removal of official survey markers, he said calmly. Diane stammered. 2 was upholding community standards. Those stakes were misplaced. Officer Daniels didn't flinch. Only a licensed surveyor can determine boundary placements, ma'am. Removing those stakes is a criminal offense, specifically criminal mischief, with serious penalties. Diane's indignation flared. This is absurd. I'm the HOA president. I was protecting our property from encroachment. The officer's next question was pointed. Do you still have the stakes? After a long pause, Diane admitted they were in her garage, a damning confession. Daniels retrieved the stakes as EVY Denke and informed her that charges would be filed. She'd receive a court summons, though she wasn't arrested on the spot. Panic replaced her bravado. This will go on my record, she gasped. I can't have a criminal record. I am in real estate. The irony was rich. A real estate professional, of all people, should have known the GRAVY tie of messing with property lines. The fallout was swift. Diane was charged with criminal mischief, a Class 1 misdemeanor. As a first-time offender, she was offered a plea deal, a due law $5,000 fine, 80 hours of community service, and a year of probation. The alternative was a trial, with up to 12 months in jail if convicted. News spread like wildfire through Willow Creek. An emergency HOA meeting was called, and despite Diane's desperate pleas, the board voted 7-1 to oust her as president. The lone vote in her favor? Hers. As she packed her clipboard, her President Marshall nameplate, and a binder stuffed with violation notices, the reality hit her. Her professional reputation was in tatters, her social standing obliterated, her bank account gutted. In the parking lot after the meeting, she faced me, her voice a broken whisper. I was just doing my job. I've given 7 years to this community. Rules are rules, Diane, I said, letting her own words hang in the air. The shock in her eyes as I walked away was a moment seared into my memoria, fitting end to her reign of terror. Willow Creek was finally free, and my patio? It's coming along nicely.